Good day, traders. Hope you guys are good and welcome to this week's segment of our market breakdowns. If you're new to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button to get more of this type of content. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. I hope you had a well-rested weekend. It's a beautiful Monday, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Without wasting any time, I'm going to start by looking at Euro AUD. Now, with Euro AUD, we were in an uptrend where the market formed consistent high highs and high lows. Our most recent high was this one over here. And our most recent low was on this area over here. Now, looking at this area, we had liquidity, right? We had liquidity because this was an area of quote unquote support. Now, retail traders got or bought here, and now the market's reacting off of it again, right? Does this mean though that we're going to get a continuation to the upside? Let's look at other factors. You have this opposing supply over here, has been tested once, and now the market looks like it's gonna go there for the second time, right? With how the market is going to the upside, if we get a strong push again to the upside, it might break it. Or conversely, this might be a new trend forming, right? We got in up here. This was also a swing high, by the way, that got violated. So this downtrend is confirmed because it violated the swing low over here. We had a break of structure here, right? Came here, and now the market looks like it's approaching it for the second time. Now, the market can come to this area and then break it to the downside, or the market can break above this area, and if it violates the swing high over here, then we're expecting a continuation. These are the two scenarios that can pan out on the monthly Euro AUD. Let's go to a lower time frame. Right now on the weekly, the market or the downtrend is much more clear on the weekly. Now, the market recently came here and failed to break below this level over here. The market, if you zoom out, reacted on this weekly flip zone, right? On this weekly flip zone, and we got a strong push to the upside. So in this instance, demand is in control, demand is approaching supply, right? If you look right here, the monthly swing high is where it's much more clear, and we can use this area as an area of liquidity. We have this nested supply over here that the market didn't really retest. So if we're looking at discounted levels, assuming that the trend continues towards the downside, what could happen is the market could go to this area over here, take out liquidity, tap into the supply area, and then we might get a drop. That's the first scenario. Another scenario is that the market can come back or come into the supply area over here, and in the coming 2 weeks, we get a reaction towards the downside, right? What I think, or which scenario I think is most likely going to happen, is the one where we find the market going into higher time frame areas and looking for nested areas, right? So we have to be aware of this opposing supply, but it's not a high probability supply. Let's go to the daily. The daily. Now we are on the daily. Now on the daily, it's much more clear. All right, because we got in a break above this previous structure with a strong impulse, leaving an order block here that's unfilled. Point number one. Point number two is that, as you can see over here, we've created a new high. So we've violated a previous high, created a new high. So obviously in this instance, we are in a new uptrend. Now I'm not expecting the market to go all the way down to retest this order block right here, right? But this is an area where I can place my limit order. Another area where I can place my limit order is this nested demand area over here. Right. If the market comes back and breaks this area over here, then I'm leaving it and I'm looking for sells, right? If you look towards the left, there's inefficiency over here. So there isn't an area where I'm looking at on my left where I'm looking at and I suspect that the market can reverse. There isn't any imbalance. Matter of fact, the gap that I see is over here. So the market can violate that supply area that I was talking about, right? We might not be able to trade from it, but we must at least note it for take profit purposes, right? And even if you can see here, the supply area that's nested within that higher time frame supply isn't, or does not have a tight base and candlestick, isn't a good area of supply. So which is why if this passes, I think the market can actually break above this and go to that monthly area. But that's a bit far-fetched. That's way ahead. That's way ahead, right? So yeah, overall, these are my sentiments on Euro AUD. Let's go on to another pair. Now we are on EURCAD. And as you can see, if you watched my breakdown last week, the market is behaving exactly as I anticipated. So let me go to the weekly. Okay, let me just, you'll go to that other analysis for much more detail. But basically, you had this area of liquidity over here. The market tapped into or gotten this liquidity and also tapped into a higher time frame demand zone, right? We have this break of structure over here. We have these gaps that need to be filled. So what I had said in the previous weeks, I said that the market will tap into liquidity, go into the demand zone, find an order block here, and then we're gonna continue to the downside. This is my overall sentiment on EURCAD based on what we saw the previous weeks. So an area of supply that I see, still this area of supply. This, by the way, is the only area of supply that I recognize, right? So this is what I expect to see in the long run. Let's go to the daily. So as you can see, you're on the daily, by the way, the market came into this demand area, failed to break below because it's taken liquidity right here, broken previous structure, broken this area over here, also broken or is taking liquidity from this area. So on this previous swing high, we haven't gotten a full breakout, right? So I'll just mark it off as an area of liquidity. If you look towards your left, there's efficiency. So in the only area where we are interested in selling is this area over here. Right. So what I'm expecting is because last week's scenario prevailed, a continuation, a young correction, and then a movement to the upside, right? We have this long candlestick that has left unfilled orders. Broken structure, hasn't, like there hasn't been any area that has been tested, area of demand. So this is the only valid demand area that's available. Let's go to the 4 hour. Right, now we're on the 4 hour. And as you can see over here, you had a break of structure. And now the market's taking liquidity from this area. We don't have a strong breakout. So the market started off strong, but eventually lost a bit of steam. So what I think will happen is I think the market will come back to this order block over here. Might be a long stretch, might not happen. We might actually get a breakout and find an order block here. But if we're looking for areas where there's high probability, because remember, we are not predictors of the market, we are speculators. And for you to be on the right side of the market, you have to follow certain rules. And if things don't pan out according to your rules, you let them be. You don't try to control the situation, right? Because that's where you get into situations where you find unnecessary losses. And I call them unnecessary because you could have avoided them had you stuck with your rules. So according to the rules that I follow, I can only place a limit order here, all right? If the market does not come to this area anytime soon, I have to see if the market forms another order block somewhere else. Obviously, I'm going to be monitoring this with my team, right? But yeah, these are my sentiments on EURCAD. Till we can get to this level over here, till we can get to this level over here, I'm only looking for buys. Only looking for buys. Unless the market goes down and break below this level. But yeah, let's move on to another pair. We're now on USDZAR. And last setup that we got on this pair, we're actually able to bag a lot of pips, right? Hit take profit, and now we are here for another opportunity. The market is acted off this demand over here. It's in a clear uptrend. We have this break of structure over here. We've broken this area of liquidity. And then we left an order block here. So what I think will happen is the market will eventually tap into the orders that it left on this area of demand over here. So it's confirmed that we're in an uptrend. What I'm waiting for is the market to reverse, come back into these areas and go up. I think I'm gonna take profit here. I mean, it's a havoc here, but I don't wanna be greedy. This is the next opposing supply area. I'm not gonna trade the sell, but that's where I'm gonna take profit, right? If you look towards your left, especially on this area over here, there's a lot of efficiency because orders have already been filled. So even if the market reverses from those areas, they aren't good areas to be trading from, right? If you look at other things, we had a break of structure over here. After a break of structure, you're looking for an order block. Now, this is the area where I think the market will reverse. Might continue up. It's not a good area of supply. but I just wanted you guys to take note of that. So this is what I see on USDZAR. If you go to lower time frames, this is a good area where there's nested demand, right? So I'm just going to be placing a limit order here. And then if you want to take the risk, I don't think it's a good supply area, but this is a potential area of supply. Potential area of supply. The market has to come back to fetch some orders before continuing to the upside. But anyways, those are my sentiments on USDZAR. Let's move on to another pair. How we are on USDCAD, and we actually haven't looked at this pair in a very long time, right? The market's stuck in between this range over here on the monthly. So we went up, broken previous structure, created a new high or a new low, broken that previous low, created this new high, had this new low, went back, failed to break above this high. So you have this low over here. Now the market is stuck in between that range. But we know because the market's still respecting this area that we're still in an uptrend. So we should be looking for what? Buy opportunities. Let's go to the weekly. Right, now we are on the weekly. And on the weekly, the market came here, right, went up, broken this opposing supply, created a demand there, and now that demand is in control, right? Now, if you look towards the left, not really much of an imbalance. So if we get a strong push in the form of strong impulses, we can eventually go towards the upside, right? You have these two areas of liquidity over here, right? Of which to retail traders, they're areas of resistance. But we know that those are potential areas of market manipulation. So we shouldn't be trading with the retail traders. Now, if you go, you'll see that we are on an area of opposing supply, though it's not a good area of supply, because why? It has a wiki base, right? And as the market was going to the upside, it created efficiency. So the only area of unfilled orders with this movement to the upside is this level over here. Other than that, if the market breaks this area, this is where I'm going to be placing my next buy limit, right? It's a nested area of demand. The market has retested this area 1, 2 times. And for the third time, though it's not a high probability movement, what should we expect? Candlestick confirmation before we can buy, right? So yeah, either the market can come into this area and then break here, or we can actually wait for a break above this area over here. You can wait for a break above this area of supply, right? But yeah, these are my sentiments on USDCAD. In the long run, we should be buying this thing, but the market can go down again to take out some orders, fetch some liquidity before going to the upside. we know that there's areas of potential liquidity. Those are areas where we expect manipulation from market makers. The market can also go up, take that liquidity, and use this area as an order block before going up. So these are these three scenarios that I am looking out for on USDCAD. Right? We'll be monitoring this on Telegram. But yeah, for now, let's move on to another pair. We are on CADJPY. This is actually an update on CADJPY. In the previous videos, what I was expecting was the market, because it made a strong push to the upside that violated this opposing supply, I expected a consolidation away, the market to retest this area as new demand. Now, because there wasn't a consolidation away from this area, so the market just went up and went down again at the same time. This invalidates this area over here, this level over here, as a potential demand area. So what had happened was there was an area of liquidity here, right? Let me use the trend line. That had liquidity, and the market tapped into that liquidity, and it looks like it's rejecting, right? After taking that liquidity, you can also say that the market came into this area of opposing supply because it hasn't been broken through, so it's still confirmed. That's what had happened. Now, for us to confirm that the market will be reversing, we need to get a breakout below this area of liquidity. If we can get a break below the swing low, then I believe that the market is going down even further, right? This is the area that I'm going to be looking at because it's an area of liquidity. Demand level that's been confirmed is this one over here. So I'm waiting to see how the market reacts on that area of demand, right? But this area over here cannot be used anymore as an area of demand because of there wasn't a consolidation away. If the market continues going up the next coming days, then we must wait for a breakout above this area of supply. Let's go on to the lower time frame. Now on the weekly, and as you can see, still in an uptrend, broken this swing high, taken liquidity, got into this high time frame area, failed to break above, and now we filled in all of these orders and we're coming into this area. Now this is an area where I was looking for orders initially, right? But looking at the monthly, that might not necessarily be a good area to be trading from. So I'm still going to be trading from it, but using low lot sizes. Another area of interest is this area over here because there's liquidity here, right? So for now, the market might tap into this order block, go to the upside, but this is where I'm taking profit. Or the market can continue going down, break this area, come into this demand, and then go up. Or the market can break this area of demand, high time frame demand, and continue to the downside. But in all scenarios, we only act if things are playing according to our rules, right? I already emphasized the importance of having rules when you're trading. On the daily, this is what we see. A gap that was here and the market flushing out all of those orders with a strong impulse movement, right? With the strong impulse movement came a break of structure, right? And then there's an order block here. Right. Now we're approaching this demand zone over here. This is the only demand zone that according to me, is confirmed. It is also nested within a higher time frame area. If we grade it, it's broken opposing structures, left a strong push, right? Spent time away, has a strong arrival. Another area of interest is this demand over here, but because it's not nested within a higher time frame, we're not going to be trading from it. So what could happen is the market can go back and fill in these orders that aren't filled, continue going down, or the market can use this area, break above structure, and then continue to the upside. But in the coming days, what I'm expecting to see is a buy. Though it's not a high probability setup, so I have to use low lots or a low risk, right? So it's actually decent. Let's go to the 4 hour. I want to see some. So yeah, as I anticipated, we have a gap over here, and the market, like I said, might go up here to fill in this gap, temporarily slow, either move to the downside or to the upside. But for this week, I'm buying CADJPY. Obviously, I'm not going to be naive with this thing. I'm going to use proper risk management. In actual fact, proper risk management is required for every position that you place, right? Might as well place it somewhere here, right? We're going to get into position sizing in other videos in the near future, hopefully. But yeah, let's move on to another pair. Right. Now we are on AUDCAD. A very tricky pair, but let's see. So first things first, we are within this monthly range over here. Right? If you look towards your left, you'll find that a lot of sources of strong impulses have already, have a lot of efficiency because orders in a sense have already been filled, right? So that's the first thing that I'm getting. A range means that you have equal amounts of buyers and sellers. Now, let's look at this. We retested this area of supply, right? Now, we were hoping to get demand from this area over here. We're able to catch some trades, but the only problem with this demand is that price is spending way too much time on this area. And if price spends way too much time on an area of significant demand supply, what does that mean? That eventually you're going to get a breakdown or a breakout from that area. So this is what led me to have a change of sentiment, right? This is an area of liquidity that we should be looking at. Let's move on to a lower time frame. Right, now we are on the weekly. And as you can see right here, the market has taken liquidity. Now the most recent significant swing was the swing low over here, right? So the market was going up, but we recently violated that swing high with this movement over here. Now, if you look towards your left, not a lot of imbalance, right? If you zoom in, you'll see that the market has, after breaking this previous swing high, we've been failing to break above. So on in 3 occasions where the market wanted to go up, but it's failing. At the same time, it's slowly creating new lows, right? And we recently got in liquidity over here. This area over here was supposed to act as an area of demand. But the problem with this area is that, number one, we don't have a strong departure. Number two, we have multiple retests on that area. And so the market will eventually violate that. It's for that reason why I'm expecting the market to go down eventually. Right. Like I said, I'm expecting a drop. Let's go to the daily. The daily, we can see this failure to break above, right? And then this is the area where we're supposed to get liquidity. This area has been violated over here. And then we formed this supply area over here, which I believe might be more clear on the daily. I'm not on the 4 hour. But yeah, this is exactly what's happening. Now, because you have this break of structure, although it's not a strong breakout of structure, this is what's happening. What I think will happen, and this is going to be a risky trade, I think the market might come for the last time, and then we might get a sell. My verdict on this pair is that I'm selling, and I'm actually going to take a risk because I'm already late, and then do this. Let me go to the 4 hour to adjust my stop loss. So the 4 hour, and as you can see, we have an order block here. So I'm going to put my stop loss above this area over here. And we also have, or have had, a break of structure. So the market broke below this area, came back for an order block, and this is what we got, right? So it's good ROI. I'm going to use proper risk management as per usual. But yeah, these are my sentiments on AUDCAD. Let's move on to another pair. Now we are on AUDJPY. And what happened to AUDJPY happened to, what happened to CADJPY also happened to AUDJPY. Where this area was supposed to be our new demand because it's broken through an opposing level with a strong candlestick. But what happened was the market took liquidity here and went down straight. So with these demand and supply areas, like I said, we're looking for areas where price at least consolidated away from this area. So another area of demand that I'm going to be looking at is this area over here. And then there's liquidity here. So the market might come into this area. Tap into orders, fetch liquidity, and then continue up, or it might reverse and actually break this area and continue down. Those are the two scenarios that I'm expecting on AUDJPY. Let's go on to the weekly. So now that we are, you can see that this was no breakout, but actually a liquidity grab. The market came back and now it's on this area of weekly demand. Not a good area, not a good area though. So if I'm going to buy from this area, I'm not expecting it to go up, and I'm not expecting it to be a high probability setup. This is actually, for me, a risky setup, right? An area though where I'm going to be placing limit orders comfortably is this area over here. It's nested, look at the time the market spent away from this area. And even if it does not go all the way up, I'm expecting it to have some sort of reaction, right? This is your area of liquidity also. Let's go to the lower time frame, right? What you saw on CADJPY, we're seeing it right here where you had this breaker structure, strong impulse, and then orders being left here. Now, if you look here, there's no imbalance. So I'm expecting the market to go down to this area over here. This is our next area of liquidity. Now, the market might reverse eventually to tap into some of the orders before continuing down, right? But then I'm only interested in selling because of how this area over here looks, right? We're not going to be buying off this because we don't have an imbalance. We're not going to be buying here because this is a doji. Let's go to the 4 hour. Right. Now that we're on the 4 hour, you can see it much more clearly. We had this breakout of structure or breakout away from structure, break of structure, and you left this blueprint in a form of unfilled orders. So what I'm expecting to see is the market coming back into these void, filling in these orders, and then that's where I'm going to be placing my stop loss and then take profit here. So yeah, these are my sentiments on AUDJPY. Let's move on to our second last pair for the week. Right, now we're on NZDCHF, right? And if you look, we failed to break above the previous high. And now we're approaching the swing low over here. It's our area of liquidity. And then where's our order block? Our area of demand? Here. Right? So the market was reacting from this area of supply. Now I used previous data, like this is also an update, and I've been using other things to go to like sort of like validate why I felt like this was going to go up in the long run. But the market behaving the way it's behaving, I think we're gonna get a break to the downside. Might go up again, might continue to break below all these areas. Our job is to identify key levels and wait to see how the market reacts from those key levels. I think in this instance, it's very fortunate that in our instance, even though I think we are wrong, but we're able to make some pips, right? So yeah, let's go to the weekly. This thing didn't delete everything, but yes, this is our failure to break above a swing high. I mean, a swing low. Is it a potential new high? Because it failed to break above, right? And then in the other videos, I talked about how there's a void here that the market has to fill. And after filling that void, the market will come across this area of demand. Right. And then there's liquidity here. So the market now, because of that high liquidity, has incentive to take out these orders and maybe go to the upside. Right. Now, if we're looking for opposing supply areas, we have this area of supply. We're not going to trade from it. We're just noting it. Why aren't we going to trade from it? Because it's not nested within a higher time frame level. But okay, has a strong departure. has broken through structure, right? Has broken previous structure. So what I think the market will do is the market might either do this, go down immediately, come back here, do something, go up, go down, or no, that's it. That's it. That's what I'm expecting to see. That's what I'm expecting to see. On the daily, now there's a void here that the market didn't necessarily fill. And this is where I'm expecting the market to go over the next couple of days. Either break this area, take out liquidity, and then go up to fill this void. What happens next, we'll see. But in the long run, based on what we saw on the monthly, I'm expecting NZDCHF to drop. This is unless we can break. This is unless we can break this opposing weekly area, right? So yeah, these are my sentiments on NZDCHF. Let's move on to NZDUSD. Right, same thing here, where the market found supply here, right? And now it's failing to break above. Now, this consolidation on this significant area might mean that orders are getting filled up and then we are continuing to the upside, or that we're having a change of sentiment. As you can see, a new low has been created, right? You just have the swing low over here. That if the market does not respect it, we might see a drop to the downside, because if you look at this opposing demand, prices spent way too much time here that it will eventually break it. And if you look at the candlestick before the push to the upside, it's a doji. Right. So for that reason, I'm expecting a drop in the long run. You're on the daily, and on the daily, we can see that there's been a break of structure. Just want to fix this. Right, this is the weekly liquidity level. Now, a good area of supply is this area over here. And this is where I'm going to be placing my limit order. But yeah, guys, this has been a very long session. Hope it made sense. I haven't gone tired. I think I was mumbling there for a second. But yeah, this was recorded on Saturday, the 27th of November. It's gonna air on the 29th of November. And this is my last market breakdown for the year. As I mentioned, on December holidays, I take a break from the market. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to have the session again in February or late January. But yeah, I think I'll give you guys an update on my social media platforms. Then again, this is all I have for you guys. See you guys in the next video. For now, peace.